Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we have a little treat for you. So, Rosann just recently bought this Bergara HMR Pro in 6.5 Creedmoor, the heavy barrel version, and I'm going to guide her on how to install the scope base, the rings, and her new rifle scope. Yay! So it's going to be kind of a learning event for her along the way. So,
yes, this is all new to me, so we're gonna hopefully Steve will be very patient with me.
I will, of course. What you're going to see in this video is the methods that I use. There are many ways to complete these tasks, but this is the way that I do it. It's worked well for me on every other rifle that I've built and put scope base and rings and scope on. So
Awesome.
we'll show you a quick video and go over the parts and the tools and be right back.
Yep. All right, here we go. So my new rifle, we are going to mount this awesome Strike Eagle scope on it. And here's all the fun equipment that we have to play with today.
Yes, we have two Vortex Defender caps, flip caps for the scope, Vortex PMR rings, precision matched rings that are made by Seekins for Vortex, and some random tools that we're going to be using to install everything today. Okay, so what we're installing as a scope base, this is the Seekins 20 MOA Remington 700 short action pattern scope base. Now this is made for the 8 size screws, 40 threads per inch, because as I said in the previous video, the screws holes in the top of the HMR Pro series rifles is drilled and tapped for 840. So the typical size is 648, the Remington 700 pattern. So the first thing we want to do is, if you notice on the Seekins, it has a recoil lug built into the bottom of it. And what that's going to interface with is this front edge of the action. That's going to take the recoil instead of the screws actually absorbing the recoil from the round. So first thing you want to do is take the scope base and lay it on top, and then we'll do a, yeah,
Okay.
Go ahead. And also, Seekins also provides 5 screws. I left the other one at home that we're not going to use, but as you can see on the table, there's 3 different lengths, and the 2 that are longer, they go in the rear of the action towards the buttstock, and then the next longest one in the middle there goes just in front of the receiver opening, and then the very short one, the stubby one, goes here in the very front hole, because that's where the threads of the barrel are threaded into the receiver. So that one has to be short so you don't screw into the threads. So the first thing you want to do, first thing that I do anyway, is I take the 2 short screws and I thread them in by hand.
Into
The longer one of the 2 goes in the rear hole.
Okay.
And then the real short stubby one goes in the front one.
Oop. Let's put it in the right way, Rosann. There we go.
Okay, and they are torx size number 15, so that's a little torx wrench I have. So now get them lined up and very gently get the first one started.
I don't know if it's in the hole or not. There it is. It's magnetic.
Yep.
This is exciting for me. I don't play with tools. Maybe I should.
Okay, now before you get that one tight, go to the next one and start that one. Okay, keep going. Now, because this one has a recoil lug, I push forward on the scope base so that that recoil lug engages with the front of that receiver.
You want me to tighten it?
Just snug it up with your fingers.
Okay.
I'll do the front one.
Okay.
Sometimes the receiver actions are warped, or the scope base might be warped, but one thing to check for if you need to bed the scope is I tighten down the front screws, and then I'll check it. What I'll do is I'll push down on the back and it does not move, and then I'll do a reverse where I'll tighten the two rear screws, loosen the front ones, and I'll push down the front and see if it's got any spring to it. That way it tells me the scope base needs to be bedded, which there's lots of videos on YouTube about doing that, but I checked this one earlier. This one does not need it. Okay. Another thing you can do is use a feeler gauge. This is a 1.5 thousandths thick feeler gauge, and you can try to stick it under. It does not go underneath. So that means it's snug. So now go ahead and put the two rear ones in, and then we'll do the reverse. So just get those started in their holes first. Sometimes what I like to do is, so I don't potentially cross thread something, is I'll turn it backwards if there's a chance, and then I'll feel it. You mean this way? Yeah, I'll turn it until you feel it click. Mm-hmm. You felt it click? Yeah. Okay, that means your threads are lined up that you can now go forwards or clockwise. Now that we have the rear side checked, Rosann's going to go ahead and loosen up all four of the screws a little bit. Okay, now she's going to push forward towards the muzzle. Just grab it along the middle and push forward, and then snug down the two front ones. Okay, now snug down the two back ones. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take one out at a time, and we're going to put just a teensy bit of Loctite on each of the screws, and then we'll put them back in and torque them. Okay, now let's shake this up a little bit. All right, I'll hold that. You take the cap off.
Does it just pull off?
No, it spins. Just the white portion.
Just the white top?
Yeah. Okay, now you just need a very little, hold the screw out to the side. You just need a very tiny bit of this. Now touch the... just to get the excess off. There you go, that's good.
Tight?
Just snug.
Okay.
Then take the next one out. Do the same to that one. You might want to wipe off the Loctite that's on that tool then.
Yeah, okay.
We're just using blue Loctite here. Just a teensy little drop. There you go. I'll touch the paper towel just to get excess. There you go.
Oop, probably more than I needed.
It's alright, just touch
Does that one matter that it's...
There you go.
Okay. I didn't know if it matters if it's longer, if you need more. Or...
No. Just finger tight. There we go. Oh, last one. Just a tip when you're working with torx fasteners, try to keep the tool as perpendicular to the screw as possible.
Okay.
So you don't risk damaging the screw.
Okay.
Just touch it to the paper towel. There you go. You don't need a whole lot of this stuff. You just need a little.
It comes out fast.
Yeah. Okay, so now what we're going to do is torque each of the screws to 15 inch-pounds per Seekins instructions. This is an inch-pound torque wrench. So Rosann is, now when you put that in there, put one hand on that to push down on it and rotate to 15 inch-pounds.
Which direction?
The same, no, clockwise. The same way you were slowly. You got to get it engaged in the teeth there.
Okay, I think it is. Okay.
Just lift it straight out. Perfect. Perfect. Good job. Now go over each of them again and just check and make sure that you're at 15, just to double check everything. The goal is to not give it more torque, just to be sure it's at 15.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we have the scope base installed and the screws are torqued and Loctited, now we can go ahead and get the rings out of the box. Lift up on the top flap. There you go. The Vortex also provides the 2 rings and also a little key. It's torx number 25, I believe. And then they provide instructions. And the base clamp screws are 45 to 50 inch-pounds, and the cap screws are 18 inch-pounds in a crisscross pattern. So what we're going to do is, first thing you want to do is loosen all these screws up.
Okay.
And take them out, and then...
With this or with this?
No, this one's too small.
Okay.
So use this one. And then I like to keep the cap with the bottom half together, so
you don't get them confused.
So you don't get them mixed up. Okay, so we got all the rings disassembled and ready to put on. So a lot of people have a different philosophy on where they want to put the rings, and it kind of has something to do with the scope itself and getting your proper eye relief when you're have the stock when you're addressing it, and set when you're shooting that you get the right eye relief and picture through the scope. So what I usually like to start with is the ring in the second rear screw or slot, and then the front one we can put in, say the third one back, third slot back over the screw. Yep.
Just sit there. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay. So then what I'll do is under recoil, the rifle will want to push back, and therefore you want to be sure that the rings are forward so they don't have a tendency to slide. So what I'll have you do now is push forward on each ring, and then using one of the keys, just snug up each of the screws on the side.
Okay. Sorry, my hand's probably in the way.
Remember, push forward on the ring. We just want to go finger tight on these for now. Alright, and I'll usually take my fingers and wipe out any dust that may have got in there. Okay, so I forgot to mention earlier that I had degreased all of the base clamp screws and the screw holes in the action earlier. I used brake cleaner for that, so I had done that earlier, so we didn't have to waste time on camera for that. So Rosann's gonna unbox her Strike Eagle rifle scope.
Should I leave these on or take them off?
Go ahead and take them off.
Should I take this off?
Yeah, let's take that off. Here's my knife.
I have one too, but okay. I'm not sure how to do this without making a mess here.
Go from this side, go up.
This side?
Yes, just don't scratch the scope.
That's what I'm hoping not to do. Thank you.
Alright, go ahead and put the box aside. Just set that on the table for now.
The scope?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna go ahead and level the rifle. And what I have here is an angle digital protractor. So the first thing I do is make sure the bottom of it's clean, and it is. Let me turn it on, and then I'll put it on the base. And see what the angle is at. So I'm just gonna twist the rifle back and forth. My goal is to get it where it's less than 0.05 degrees off of horizontal. And then I'm going to shake the rifle back and forth and see if it comes back to that same number. I'm just going to tweak it a little more. This can be kind of frustrating to do it, but there's other ways to do this, but this is a way that's worked for me in the past. Alright, so go ahead and set the scope in the rings and check that out. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we have the scope in the rings, and we've lightly put on the upper half of the rings, and we have the scope leveled out on the turret. The level that I have, the digital level, doesn't really work with this turret style, so this is a precision bubble level that works pretty well for this process anyway. So basically the next steps are to tighten the screws on the tops of the rings halves in a crisscross pattern, and you want to do it in stages up to the final torque that's listed on the information from Vortex, and it's listed there at the bottom at 18 inch-pounds. So I'll go up to maybe 5 or 10 first time around, and then I'll go back through, go up to the 18 inch-pounds, and then I'll be watching the bubble level to make sure we don't really move the rings. All I'm looking for is that the bubble is centered in this direction on that line. If it's a little off front to back, but that's not a real big deal, but left to right, we want it to be stay centered while the rings are being torqued.
Cool.
So I'll go ahead and torque them. See if I get the right one here. Nope. So I'm just going to go up in stages. Okay, so all the screws for the top halves of the rings are torqued to spec, and if you see the bubble level up here, it is still centered left and right, which is what we would like to see. So that'll get us very close to what we need for our purposes. And then we've already gone ahead and put the throw lever on the scope, and the only thing left we have to do is put the scope caps on. One thing about the throw lever, you want to make sure that where you put it, it doesn't interfere with the bolt when you open it and close it. You may want to adjust this up so that it stops up here, just depending on how your hand gets onto the bolt itself. It's all personal preference, but it's nice that they include that throw lever in the box with the strike eagle, because typically those have been about a $60 or so upgrade or additional cost if you want to the other scopes, but they've included one in the box with the strike eagle. So all right, awesome. We're going to go ahead and put the scope caps on. These can be kind of finicky. Sometimes they go kind of easy too. Level that up. If you look under the scope, you'll see there's plenty of room underneath between the top of the barrel and the bottom of the scope cap. So for anyone asking, these are Vortex, I believe they are the 0.92, or no, they're the 1 inch high rings. Verify that. Yes, it's called the medium plus height, the 1 inch high rings, PMR-34-100. So that's what's on this rifle. With a 56mm objective and the seekinsscopebase, there's plenty of room for scope caps as well, for anybody else that's interested.
Cool. Thanks, babe.
Betcha.
I appreciate the help with this today. I'm excited to get this out and shoot it.
Yeah, that'll be your next video.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we are all finished with this, and super excited to get this out on the range and sling some lead through it. So
it went really well, and
yeah,
Rosann did a fantastic job
thanks.
with her first time doing it.
You did an awesome job helping me to figure all this out. And I learned a whole lot with it, so
That's good. It's a learning process.
yeah.
Like I said before, there are other methods of how to do all this, but this is what's worked for me for quite a long time.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it for this time, and thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
Stay tuned to the next video. We'll be shooting it.
Yep. We'll see you.
Have a great day.
Bye.